Like they call it the doghouse.
So recently, Shakur Stevenson has been in the line of fire for everybody after another lackluster performance against Artem. I forget how to say the brother's second name, Hardatunian, I believe is how you say it. And this comes after another poor performance that he had against Edwin de los Santos. So Shakur is now currently free of his top rank contract. He's now a free agent, which means he's now pretty much free to sign whichever promoter he wants. Talking about Eddie Hearn, talking about Golden Boy, and other promotions out there. But Shakur is currently at a weird stage in his career because he really should be in the prime of his career, if not coming into his prime potentially. Because I think Shakur Stevenson, he isn't old. He is, I want to say about 25. No, he's 27 actually. So 27. He's slowly now coming into his prime, and he really is an amazing fighter. And if you go back through my catalogue of YouTube videos, you will see I'm very high on the talent of Shakur Stevenson. I think he's, honestly, when he's in full flight and he's popping that job off and doing what he does, there are not many fighters on the planet who can live with Shakur Stevenson. And when he is on full form, popping the jab, moving, I think he looked a lot better before he came up to 135. But, there are certain fights in the past where I really feel like Shakur has shown how good he is and really shown that dominance that he has in there. Against Oscar Valdez, he did amazing. Against Jamal Herring, he was another great performance. So against these guys, he's looked great. But against, like I said, De Los Santos, against Hardatunian, he looked very lackluster. And as a result, his fights have been very dull and very boring because of it. And because of these boring fights, Shakur Stevenson has been in the line of fire of everybody. Everybody on Twitter is going after Shakur. All the boxing fans and pundits, they're all at Shakur's neck at the moment, and they're all coming for him. But I believe there is a way to salvage this and to almost turn it around for Shakur Stevenson. Now, when I'm saying salvage, I don't mean real boxing sense, because I think there are some things that are blinding some people. I think Shakur's boring fights have really almost made people forget how good he is. He can beat Tank, he can beat Lomachenko, he can beat Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. The list goes on. Don't get me wrong. At the moment, the way Tank, I think, is slowly starting to improve, I do think there's a hard fight for Shakur if he can keep Tank off him for the whole 12. But I think he beats the majority of people out there, to be honest. And I do think that people's, I don't know if I want to say hatred, but their dislike of Shakur has made them almost lose sight of that. But there is a way to salvage Shakur, and this video is about how we make Shakur Stevenson into a pay-per-view star. Do I have experience of this? No, but I have seen enough. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to list 3 key points here. The first point is embrace your inner villain, which he is doing perfectly at the moment. He is currently fighting everybody on Twitter. The guy is like spending hours and hours on Twitter. He's beefing all these people in America on these talk shows that I don't know who they are, but they apparently got some influence. He's going after everybody. Anybody who's talking bad about him, he is going after them. Any fighters he's going after. He's going after Andre Berto, I remember he had beef with for a little bit. Like, everybody's getting it. This is what you need to do. Embrace your inner villain. Shakur's a very arrogant, a very cocky fighter. People don't like it, but I think it can be used in a good way, because you can always play him as the villain. And I think he needs to go down a little bit of that Colby Covington act. Not saying to completely flip it and become a character, because I don't think Shakur, it suits him. But I think for Shakur, embrace that, talk trash about everybody. Say that Ryan Garcia is a steroid cheat, call Tank a midget, do whatever you want, but just really pump it up and really stick it on your fellow fighters, because I think that's the best way you're going to get people tuned in. That's what Ryan did against Devin Haney. Wasn't really that much interest in the fight beforehand. People are always going to watch it, but Ryan's antics really helped sell this fight. And then that's why when the fight happened, a lot of people watched it, and it made his performance even better. And I think it made the result that much bigger because everybody else was so interested and so intrigued by it. So yeah, that's the first one. Embrace your inner villain. The second is embrace your inner Floyd Mayweather. Now, what do I mean by this? Floyd Mayweather was, in my opinion, the last true pay-per-view star of boxing. People will say Canelo Alvarez. I think Canelo's amazing, but I don't think he had that something special about him that Floyd had. Floyd, pay-per-view wise, is in the level of Ali, of Mike Tyson, these type of guys who you really wanted to watch. Everybody wanted to see Floyd get knocked out, but ultimately you still watched him. That's what Shakur needs to do. Shakur he hasn't got the power in his hands, but he has got the skill that Floyd had. Not saying it's the same level as Floyd, but I'm saying ultimately these guys are both boxers who can jab you to death and really pick you apart. That's what Shakur needs to do. Shakur needs to combine what I said about the villain thing and get people wanting to watch his fight because they want to see him knocked out. Keep doing what you're doing. We need Shakur to be this brash, arrogant guy. The villain thing is more him going after other fighters. I'm talking about come up, wear these little Gucci mink coats to your press conferences. Come up, dismiss every fighter. Just really turn it up because I think you have I think Shakur, he has got like a pay-per-view star thing about him. He just needs to let it out a bit more. And I think you would see Shakur really elevate his name to another level. I think Shakur is without a doubt, one of the most how do I say this? Because I actually like Shakur, but in terms of being insufferable, he can be very insufferable. Shakur, the way he is, he's quite brash and arrogant, and that can really rub people the wrong way, and that you can use to your advantage. So I'm saying to Shakur, embrace your inner Floyd. And the big thing, and this is another thing which I feel Shakur may have to sort of swallow his pride a little bit on this one. And this is going to sound so easy and simple, but I think Shakur needs to take a step back to take a step forward. Now, what I mean by this, Shakur needs the big fights, the big names. But at the moment, nobody wants to fight him. Why? Because he brings nothing to the table. His reputation is almost not at an all-time low, but people don't want to watch Shakur. Devin Haney offered him the fight. He should have taken that fight, in my opinion, because you do that, you beat Devin Haney, and all of that sort of hype comes onto you, all the money comes onto you. What Shakur needs to do, he needs to cuss Ryan Garcia when he comes back, talk bad about him, and if they try and, give him a terrible deal, I know it's hard because he's a fighter and this is their livelihood, but I would say take it because Shakur's that good, he can beat any of these guys. So what Shakur needs to do, he needs to accept less money. He needs to not think that he's a star yet. I don't think he does think this, but I think he does obviously value himself very highly, which you should do. I'm never ever saying that you shouldn't. But what you should do is really just say, listen, I'll take less money and I'll still fight you. Do what Usyk did against Fury. Say, I'll accept that 70-30 split in an undisputed fight if it means that I get the fight. What we need to do with Shakur, we need to strip everything down and we need to look at what makes a pay-per-view star. To me, it's two things. It's the way you fight and it's how marketable you are. Terence Bud Crawford is a very good fighter, but because he's quite a bit of a quiet guy, he never really stood out like that. Sometimes it's the image that you present. Look at Anthony Joshua. He was a good talker, Joshua, and his trash talk is quite underrated. But there's two reasons why people liked him. It's because the image that he had. He was a big guy who built like a bodybuilder. Handsome guy, and everybody liked watching him because he used to knock people out dead. You look at somebody like Tyson Fury, doesn't have that. But what he does have is the personality. One or the other. You got to have one or the other. I think Shakur needs to lean more into the personality because he's an amazing fighter. And I think the talent that he's got is amazing. But I think if you could just tap into the other side, I think you could really take off. Shakur beats Devin Haney, in my opinion. And I think he does that because I think he does everything that Haney does, but does it better. He beats Ryan. Him and Teofimo is a toss-up, I can't lie, because I don't know how Shakur would handle the size and explosiveness of a guy like Teo. But potentially, I think he could beat him. Tank is, at the moment, I'm 50-50 on that fight because I really don't know which way I would go for that. I think he'd beat Lomachenko. I think he'd definitely beat Kambosos. And he's another guy who's beefing with. So there's a lot there. To me, Shakur, it's three things. Be a villain. Keep going at these guys on Twitter. Be that little troll. Embrace your inner Floyd. Acts like you're $1 million. Wear these little Gucci mink coats. I don't really care about this, but people really don't like people wearing jewelry these days. Wear these big, expensive watches. Really overemphasize that sort of arrogance and swag that you have. And then, third thing, big thing, I think take a bit of a step back, accept these big fights, and go out there and prove how good you are. then everybody's going to want to listen and want to watch Shakur Stevenson. I think, honestly, Floyd wasn't great to watch from a entertainment point of view. Obviously, from a pure boxing point of view, I actually do like watching Shakur most of the time, but ultimately, not everybody likes these fights. Everybody wants the big knockouts, and because he's in a division with Tank and Tiafima, I know he's not in the Tiafima's no longer there, but he's in and around that same sort of era, and the likes of Ryan Garcia, and then you've also got the likes of Devin Haney, who, whilst he's not the most entertaining fighter, he does at least try. The reason we know Devin Haney hasn't got no power because we've seen him try to knock people out. I think Shakur should still stay what he's doing in the ring, but accept those big fights, take less money, act like you are much better than these guys, keep poking these guys. I think we got something with Shakur. He's been a little Twitter troll at the moment, and I think if he continues on this path, we could see a little bit of a rise from Shakur Stevenson in popularity if he can keep this up. And I think embrace the sort of darker side, and I think you will definitely see Shakur Stevenson rise to fame, because I do think Shakur is an amazing fighter. I just think he'd been matched up a bit wrong with some of these opponents. Yes, he hasn't gone for the knockout, which I feel he should do, and I think he can do, because I think Shakur Stevenson has very fast hands, and I think he's not powerful, but he's fast, and he's got that high twitch thing where I feel like he could knock a lot of these people out. But I just don't think he's within him. I don't think he's been taught to knock people out. He's been taught to box and move. So it is what it is, but I can't wait to see what Shakur does next. And like I said, you do these three things, Shakur. You go out there, you embrace your inner villain, your inner Floyd, and you take these big fights. Just accept less money. And then I think what we'll see Shakur rise to stardom. But this is just what I think Shakur should do. He's in an odd spot at the moment. Like I said, nobody really wants to watch him fight, but because of how good he is, people will always want to watch him in terms of, and I think promoters will always want to sign him. So yeah, I also think going to Eddie Hearn's a big one. I would think if you can sign with Eddie Hearn, get that matchroom thing behind the DAZN thing, and I think the sky's the limit for Shakur. He's a very good fighter, but like I said, entertainment-wise, when you're in the same division, the same area as Tank Davis, it's hard. But I do believe, in the end, I think Shakur's quality will shine through. I think he just needs to be matched up in the correct way, and then I think you will then see Shakur take off. Don't get me wrong, I understand he could have fought in a more entertaining way, but ultimately, I take fighters for what they are, not what I want them to be, and I think that's what Shakur is, and it's what he's always been. So that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What should Shakur do? Should he go to another promoter? Should he be humble maybe? I don't think so. I think keep doing what you're doing, but just my thoughts on Shakur Stevenson. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and yeah, until next time.